everybody, and welcome to the show. It is Saturday or Sunday, because this show is on television on Saturday and Sunday. So whatever night you're watching it, thank you for being with us again. Today, we have an interesting show lined up for you. Interesting conversation, anyway. There will be no dancing girls today, and the comedian is in a hospital having his sense of humor replaced. So we only have, and we're lucky to have, Anthony McFarland Gonzalez with us from beautiful downtown Bydgoszcz. You're not in downtown, are you? That's not true.
Oh no, outskirts. I like to be in the outskirts.
You like to have a long view of the downtown. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I'm like that myself. I don't live in the center of Warsaw, and
no.
I like to be able to see those tall buildings and approach them cautiously, in case somebody's jumping. You see, because you never know.
That would be a long fall. Actually, no, it won't be a long fall. It'll be a short fall.
Inflation is high, and so are some of those buildings. We have the tallest building in Europe in Warsaw. Oh.
No way. Didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Well, outside of Moscow
okay.
or Moscow.
Or Moscow.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Do you say Moscow or Moscow?
Well, Moscow.
Moscow.
Because it's just asking. It's just derogatory.
Oh, it's derogatory. Okay. Yes. Well, I don't understand the reason for any derogatory talk about the Russians at this point in time. Why would anyone have anything against the wonderful regime in charge? Yeah.
True.
Anyway, what do I know? That's what everybody else is saying. I know something, though.
Do tell.
I know facts about Poland. Fun facts to know and tell.
True. It's kind of curious. It's like you've been out of the mix for a little while. I'm kind of curious what the heck you've been up to for a little while.
What have I been doing? Yeah, I had a...
man.
Oh, I've just been hiding in my secret bunker.
Hey, a cave, man cave. And you didn't extend the invitation? What the heck?
I did. No, you're always welcome. In fact, you stayed in my bunker, as I remember.
I did.
When you're passing through Warsaw. No, I met a fella who was coming through Warsaw on Wednesday. Generally, I was in Rzeszów for a few days, talking to the organizers of the World for Ukraine conference. That was last week. And I've just been buried in sort of writing in August. I didn't go anywhere, but I've got a lot of trips coming up, including Ukraine, Rzeszów for the conference, then Ukraine. Are you coming to the conference in Rzeszów?
I am indeed, sir.
World for Ukraine. I'm counting on you being there.
On the, next week, isn't it?
It's the 28th, 29th.
Oh, last week of September. Okay.
2 weeks from now. It's Thursday, Friday. Yeah. And then are you going to Ukraine?
Indeed, sir.
Yeah.
We got a vehicle.
We're going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Super. Because I was expecting that. Yeah. And I'd like to get hold of the American ambassador for a conversation.
Well, which one?
In Kiev. The one in Kiev. The one in Kiev.
That might be a bit tricky, but we might be able to pull that one off.
Let's see. We'll work on it. What else? I think Houlihan might be joining us from Aspen Aid.
If he gets here in time.
Well, I'm expecting him to come back. I'm going to call him today and find out what his, what's it called? 1020, 1040,
10-4.
His position, right? What's it called? No, 10-4 is over and out.
And
1020.
No? 1020. Yep.
Yeah, it's 1020, right?
1020.
That's the old call center. What is that? CB radio or something?
Yes, sir.
It is.
Old CB radio talk.
Remember those? Good Lord. People still use those?
Yeah, the truckers still do, actually.
They still use them, don't they? But most cars don't use them because we have other ways of detecting if the police are out. It's all on the cell phone now. It shows you where the police are and even those traffic lights, right? Yeah. But when I was a kid, the CB was a thing.
It was a thing when I was a kid.
It was or wasn't?
It was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. CB radios were all the way up until the cell phones really started taking.
Yeah, exactly. Because how else were you going to tell where the police were waiting to give you a speeding ticket?
Well, or your buddies would call you on the landline and say, "Hey, avoid this street."
That's right. Watch out. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing is getting ready for that conference, planning the trip to Kiev, planning a trip to the U.S. a bit later, going to Washington for sure, visit some relatives nearby, New York probably.
That sounds like a busy
Possibly,
end of the year for you.
and possibly Florida, yeah. People to see.
No?
Yeah, there's some mostly friends, but also a little bit of business. Yeah.
True. Don't forget to stop by and say hi to Will in Indiana.
Phil.
I mean, not Will, but Phil.
Phil be here. You mean the prospective congressman?
See.
Yeah, he's running for 3rd District of Indiana. He was on the program in August. As he went back, he's campaigning now, but he's not alone. There are several challengers, but it looks like he's the only one who's organized anything particularly. The others you always get a few people who just throw their name in because they, instead of writing a letter to the editor, they want to, make their views on a particular subject known. We're talking, he was talking to me, I was talking to him also about unions, because he's running as a centrist Democrat, which is what you have to do in Indiana, since it's pretty much a Republican state. But centrist Democrats from time to time win, or in the Chicagoland area, some of the liberal Democrats win. Like Buttigieg is from South Bend, which is in the Chicagoland area. It's right on the edge of Indiana and Illinois, and that's more liberal there. But and some of the cities, of course, are not. It's not liberal. It's Democrat, whatever that is. I leave it to you. But he is running as a centrist, so he's got his work cut out for him. But very interesting. The whole situation in the United States right now is crazy, with both Biden and Trump.
Wait, so Trump actually got nominated for the Republican side of the party?
Who?
Trump? He's
not nominated. Wow. He's running. He's not nominated. Nobody's nominated until next summer. Next summer, you'll have the nominations of Trump and whoever. Well, whoever it is. I don't know that it'll be Trump. He's way ahead. But will it be Trump? Who knows? Will it be Biden? Who knows? We don't know. It's. If you go back and read about 1972, and Nixon. He was elected in 1972, right? Mm-hmm. For the second term. And then in 1974, he resigned.
Because of the Watergate scandal.
That's right. So it looked like everything was okay until suddenly it wasn't okay. And like about 2 months before he resigned, it became apparent something was really seriously wrong, right? Yeah. And that may be the case with this too. We won't know until right up to the time, close to the, or even during the conventions, the Republican convention and the Democrat convention, that who the nominee will be. In fact, it may be decided at the convention, which wouldn't be the first time. And remember that Lyndon Johnson, if you go back and I studied history, and I read this stuff all the time, so. But I studied history at university, 3 of them. So it's kind of something that I'm familiar with, historical patterns, and something I dig. But in 1968, in March, a few months before the convention, and 3 months before the assassination of Robert Kennedy Sr., his son is now running for president on the Democratic side, Johnson unexpectedly, suddenly said, "I'm not running." So anything's possible, historically. Also, people talk about, Anthony, how bad this election, how nasty this election process is. But I don't think it's any nastier than, say, 1800 between Jefferson and John Adams, two of the founding fathers, very important ones, right at the top of the founding father list with Franklin and Benjamin Franklin and George Washington, James Madison and others. James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, the author of the Federalist Papers, James Madison, the father of the Constitution. So there were a lot of important guys. And Adams and Jefferson hated each other.
Yeah, that's true, actually. That's historically.
Then, and then you throw in the wild card of Aaron Burr, because back then they voted and the second most votes became vice president. You didn't have a ticket. That didn't work out so well because Burr got the second most votes. It was a crazy election. And Burr ended up later having a duel with Alexander Hamilton, the father of the Federalist Papers, one of the contributors, great contributors to the foundation law of the United States, and the processes of Congress. And he shot him dead in a duel. Aaron Burr did. Yeah. He killed Alexander Hamilton. Yeah. So that was pretty contentious. None of that's happening. Nobody's going to go out. We're not going to have any duels between major politicians. So it's not quite as bad.
Duels do exist still with, not.
Well, headbutting, perhaps we might get some headbutting in Congress or something like that. But
or shoe throwing, depending on who you are.
Can be shoe throwing. might be tossing the old boot, we call it. Tossing the old boot. It's an old parlor game. And you've got, beyond that, you have the election of, was it 1880 with Garfield? I can't remember the exact day. I think it's 1880, but anybody can correct me on that. It's easy to find. With James Garfield, which was a dead heat election, and everybody said that Garfield shouldn't have. Was it Garfield?
Shouldn't have won.
It wasn't even Garfield, was it? No, because he was assassinated. It was another guy. Okay, now I've lost the train of thought. But there was another very contentious election, I believe 1880, and maybe it'll come to me later.
No, it was Garfield because it was against Winfield Hancock.
Oh, was that a contested one? Because the other one was against Sindel. The guy I'm thinking ran against Sindel. And it's not Chester A. Arthur, it's not Garfield, it's another guy.
Because Chester A. Arthur was his running mate in 1880 with Garfield.
Okay, what's the one just after that? Because Grant was before that. What's just after that?
What the heck was that, 1884?
Yeah. Because Garfield was assassinated. You talk about a problem. Yes. That's a problem when you're assassinated. You get worse than that.
Cleveland.
No, it wasn't Grover Cleveland. Right, what about 1888? No, we said 1880, didn't we? 1876
that was
Grant. That was Grant. What about the one after that?
76, 80 was Garfield. 84 was Cleveland. 88, I don't know what 88 was. 88 was Benjamin Harris and Grover Cleveland.
Yeah, so I guess it was the Garfield election. At any rate, it was very close, and then Garfield was assassinated for his pains by some anarchists. We had two assassinations by anarchists. McKinley was shot by an anarchist as well in 1900. So there have been plenty of strange times during elections in the past in the United States. And this is really nothing new. And in some ways, no reason to get excited, as Mr. Hendricks told us, or as he's saying after Bob Dylan, by the way, in All Along the Watchtower, which you get a pretty good view of things from the Watchtower, don't you? And
true.
There's no reason to get excited because we've seen it all before. And in some ways, it just suggests the vibrancy of a democracy. You and I were talking on the phone. Nobody's perfect, right? We
No,
don't get
no, not at
perfect
all.
people. None of us are perfect. All of us are making mistakes. Even if we have the best intentions, it sometimes ends up in a mistake. So, or often.
Often.
Yeah. So the whole thing is very difficult. And people shouldn't be surprised that that political process is difficult. And Bush and Gore, right? 2000,
Yes. That
decided
was a
by the
very.
Supreme Court.
Yep.
It's 20 years ago, right? Quarter of a century ago by the time we have the election. So
Oh my God, are we that old?
crazy, isn't it? I
I
remember
know.
that election so well, too, like it was yesterday.
Oh, mate, I was just about to finish high school and go to boot camp.
Good
Holy
Lord.
mackerel,
Where'd
yeah,
you
I
go to
know.
Where'd you go to boot camp? Boot camp.
Actually went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Mm.
Relaxing. Well, everybody says relaxing Jackson, but they certainly didn't make it feel like relaxing. That's for sure. And the heat
Fort
was just a
Jackson.
nightmare.
Yeah. Fort Riley is one where people go for training.
Well, yeah, of course they do that, but Benning, Jackson, Sill is for used to be the maneuver school for artillery, and then they moved that to Benning, along with the armor school that they moved from Fort Knox, where people used to go to basic training at Fort Knox. Now they all accumulated the maneuver schools at Benning.
I wonder why I have all the
Georgia.
armor in Fort Knox.
I wonder why.
Wonder why? Why would you need a bunch of armor in Fort Knox?
Yeah, I know.
Is
That's
it?
the
No,
funny
that's
thing.
where the gold is for people who don't know. Fort Knox is famous for having the gold reserve of the United States.
At least that's in theory that they still say that it's there.
It's probably buried in Wyoming somewhere. Yeah.
Most likely.
I
Some
mean,
other bunker.
it's here, and it's really somewhere else that nobody knows.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
That's what I would do, actually. Wouldn't you? You wouldn't want the
Oh, yeah,
Russians
dude.
to know where
Sleight of
your
hand.
gold is, would you? And let
Nope.
alone the people of your own country. They might come and get it.
Yeah, which is rightfully theirs.
Did you ever see Goldfinger,
Yes.
the James Bond movie?
I actually, dude, I got in trouble.
They're raiding Fort Knox. You got in trouble, why?
Because I parked in front and immediately a vehicle just came. This is when I was just a young lieutenant just coming into training because I'm just like, oh my God, Fort Knox. Holy shnikes, I can actually see this thing. And yeah, I didn't get to take a picture, but I just stopped to look at it and I'm like, this is ridiculously cool. Ooh, black Suburban pulls up and says, hey, sir, what are you doing? You need to move along.
Holy
And
Toledo.
I'm like, I'm stationed here. Do you think I'm going to do any intent to damage here? Like, no, you need to move along, sir. Sorry. And they're like that. So it makes you wonder what's really underneath Fort Knox. If it's another command center, what other stuff
What
they
is
have in the area.
underneath Fort Knox? Exactly. No one knows, right?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Doc, not even the military guys know that are stationed there. They just know that
Yeah.
if shit hits the fan, they have to protect it.
It's probably aliens.
Don't start looking conspiracy theories there, you.
Wait a second. I think there are aliens under Fort Knox. I was
you never
reading
know.
there's new alien tapes out. The fact that that whole alien thing is mainstream just drives me crazy. There is no proof. Everybody's got a cell phone, and there's still no photographs.
I know.
So therefore, I discount it totally as some kind of environmental phenomenon. But there's so many people who, this is how crazy things are. There's so many people who swear that this is true that I can't, it's hard to believe that they really don't believe it, right?
Yeah.
But I guess there are a lot of people who really don't believe something and just keep saying it anyway in order to get attention, right?
Oh my goodness, I think that sounds so familiar to what's going on over here now.
In what way?
War.
You've heard of you're talking about the war.
Yeah, talking about a certain colonel that's in the United States.
That guy? McGregor?
Yep.
Colonel McGregor and his ilk?
Start on that jerk.
I mean, who are
Yep.
these guys who come out and say the most outrageous things about the war? I mean, I tend to think the British are doing the best job on reporting this war because they understand both the United States and Europe and the world because they have that experience historically, and it's passed down through their foreign office and They're security agencies or spy agencies, if you will. It's passed down. They have that experience that the United States has only recently gained since World War II, pretty much, during and after. So I tend to, and they tend to just have the best intelligence, don't they? I don't know why.
Usually, MI6 does a damn decent job. They are some of the best agents in the world. I mean, I know probably there's some of the agencies that are in the U.S. are probably not like, I'm going to kick your butt for saying that, but it's just historically they really are. They've actually gathered better intelligence than any others.
That tends to be, yeah. But of course, we're reading, we do English language, so we tend to miss out on some of the others. But I know our intelligence agencies do a great job. I mean, ours, not you and me, but the United States do a great job too. I guess,
but it's just that the U.S. doesn't have as much finesse as the MI6 does. They just have a certain touch with a lot of. They just do it in a different manner. They're not so. They don't have the bravado that the U.S. has. They just have a different. It's just a touch. They just know how to do it.
Yeah, and the training, the university training is in these areas. They learn languages, and they really have a high standard and a tradition. I mean, we have it to some extent, but most of our people really looking internally to the United States because that's where the money is, right? So, and when you go to those high-priced universities, they come out looking to score some big bucks, right? I mean,
the majority of them, yeah. And if the funny thing is, the Columbia University that's in D.C., they are. It's kind of prime pickings for CIA and other agencies there. There's a lot of people that are being approached. A couple of my mates actually got approached from there.
Yeah, well, they used to approach people pretty broadly. I mean, people used to get approached at Emory as well. For some reason, they liked the fact that it was very academic, I think, and not sports at all, and just sort of people who were there were trying to grind out some kind of postgraduate future, That was certainly true. But yeah, you're right. All those Northeastern universities are proving grounds. Stanford, places like that. Stanford always has been as well. But we got onto this because the intelligence about the war, what I seem to hear, I don't hear these voices in the UK saying, this is folly to be involved in this, in stopping the Russians. But I hear a lot of hysteria out of the United States. Do you find that?
Yes, that's an unfortunate
That's the
thing
conundrum,
that we have to
isn't
deal with.
it? I mean, you're a military man, so I mean, could you comment on that for us? And a man with special forces experience, cybersecurity expert.
Yeah, the problem what we have with these voices in the United States is that it's not a problem, but they're within their right to say it, and it's because they're protected under the First Amendment. That's the freedom of speech, and it's also the freedom of press and freedom of religion and so on and so forth, and that freedom than just the First Amendment. But the problem that is now is that anybody can approach anyone from any part of the world and take bribes or be swaying in some way to speak and
there seems to be
misinformation.
some sense, because we're running out of time, and if I can cap this, just say if I'm right or not, in your opinion, well, it would be your opinion if you say it. Wouldn't be someone else's opinion. Oh, let me call for another opinion. I don't know why I say stupid things like that. But, well, anyway, just finish, with the last 30 seconds. Finish your statement on that.
Oh, no, that was it, actually. It's just that they have the ability to say what they want, and then somebody can approach them, bribing them in whatever. Not saying.
And we
that they
think
are
people are
bribing,
being
but
bribed. That's what I wanted to, we can't prove it right here and now,
prove it.
but we think people are being paid off, right? Wouldn't be the first time.
Absolutely.
The history of
And they
spying
can
is
mask
about
it.
money, usually.
Yeah, because information is power.
Yeah.
And these guys, they're trying to pass misinformation. And it's a propaganda, as some people say it, but it's really misinformation to get the upper hand. They used to do this. It's a very old way of winning wars because this the way you sway society is the way that they're going to think.
What's the old
And
Trojan horse? You look like you're on one team, then you jump out of the horse and sabotage with your information. Okay, we got to go now. Sorry for that bad metaphor.
it works if you really think about it.
That was really a terrible metaphor. I don't know why I said that. Okay, we'll be right back with Anthony McFarland Gonzalez, cybersecurity expert, ex-Special Forces, and a fine conversationalist. I hope you agree. I'm trying to keep up with him. So we'll see you after the break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. I got a monitor right here, so I'm looking at the monitor and then looking at the camera. It makes my eyes go funny. There's a thing. Oh, Anthony McFarland Gonzalez is still with us. There he is. There was a thing. I once, I don't know if you've ever been on the camera, done any acting or anything like that, but there's a thing about when you're on the camera and you're supposed to, and you're doing a close-up with someone and you're looking at them, that you should look at only one of their eyes, because if you try to look at both eyes, then your eyes will go back and forth like this, and it looks weird. So you'll notice in some films people are doing that. So Michael Caine said you just look at one eye. And when you look at one eye, it looks like you're looking at the whole face. How about that? And it's true.
Huh, never knew that.
But right now I'm looking back because I got two eyes. I got the screen here and the camera here. So and then suddenly I see myself. And so I'm looking at, I shouldn't be at all. I should just be looking at the camera when I'm introducing the show. A little bit of, for the folks at home, a little cameraology, we call it. That's how we call it in the business. No, it isn't. I just made that up. I just made that. We don't call it
camera etiquette.
We don't call it cameraology. Anyway, there's a few fun facts about Poland. There's quite a few, actually, that we could probably get through. And I think I'll start each of these topics by asking you a question.
See, what do we got?
And then you will be like Ed McMahon. And you will go, oh, I do not. What is the answer, oh wise one? And I'll go, what? Who's that? Where is that guy? Okay. Right. What do you think is where do you think Poland is on the scale of countries as far as bigness in Europe? Which place would it be in? From biggest to smallest? Biggest to smallest.
Oh, you mean actual size?
Yeah. What's the biggest country in Europe, would you say?
Ukraine.
Not counting, it's Ukraine not counting Russia or part of Russia. Because I don't know how I think Russia's its own thing, although they say it's part of Europe sometimes.
I believe the only part of Europe that they are counting is Kaliningrad, and that doesn't even count.
No, Kaliningrad, although it is the Russians' favorite place to go. Did you know that?
Yeah,
there's research on that. It's the Russians' favorite destination in Russia is Kaliningrad. I wonder why.
Drink. But yeah,
Gulp?
No, I honestly don't. I think they would be fourth or fifth biggest country in Europe.
Close, but no cigar. Ninth.
Oh, no kidding.
Ninth. How many countries are in Europe? Like 30?
32.
32, yeah. Okay. And some more to be admitted, right, to the EU. Romania is not in, Cyprus is not in. There's be a few more added, Albania, things eventually. We can get the mob under control. The ninth largest country. And, okay. All right. How big would you reckon Poland is related to a state of the United States? Which state
that's a good thing.
is the same size as
Honestly,
Poland, and what size is that state? What place is that state in the hierarchy of states?
You know, the funny thing is, my wife and I were just talking about this last weekend, and ironically, it's about the same size as Texas.
No. Wrong again. That's Ukraine. Oh, did you say?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Ukraine. I'm talking about Poland now.
Ukraine.
Yeah, Ukraine's the same size as Texas. Yeah.
Yes, Ukraine is the same size as Texas. It takes 13 hours to get from end to end.
Yeah, it's
The
almost
state.
1,000 miles. It's like 900 and some miles across Texas. If you
Yeah,
start
just like driving from Amarillo to
Louisiana
the other side
to
of 10.
what?
Yeah, yeah, he just went from Louisiana to the other side. I was going from New Mexico to Louisiana
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've done this.
on 10.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've done the whole 10
Oh,
from
the drive.
Jacksonville, Florida to L.A.
Oh, you did to
to
LA.
Santa
Jesus,
Monica.
I
Yeah,
only
I
did
did
to,
it more
I
than
only did
once.
it
I
to
did it
Phoenix.
several times. It's fun. It's a great drive. Driving across the country is amazing. I don't care which way you go. The United States is beautiful. It's fun,
Yes,
you know?
I love driving on 94 corridor. That's a
Yeah,
beautiful drive.
yeah. Make sure you're armed if you sleep in a rest stop. No, don't sleep in a rest stop. That'd be my advice.
Don't do that. Don't do
I
that.
would never do that. I would never do
No,
that.
sir.
I wouldn't sleep in a gas station either. Or a
No.
petroleum station, as the British would say. Huh? What?
Petrol station, no.
Yeah. Yeah, New Mexico is the
But
same size as Poland.
really, I would have thought Minnesota would have been the same size as Poland.
Well, Minnesota's smaller. Now, in the hierarchy of bigness of the United States, the biggest state, of course, is Alaska.
Alaska, yep.
Number 2 would be,
Texas,
yeah. Number 3 would be, obvious,
New Mexico,
California.
California. It doesn't even count as a state. It's another country in its own. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It is. Well, you know, when you cross into
It used to be.
when you cross into California, they stop and you have to stop at a border point and they check you to see if you got any fruit with bugs or produce with bugs.
Oh, you're kidding. I didn't know that.
That is true. They have checkpoints on the border. Yeah, to check for bringing pests into.
Invasive species.
That's correct.
That makes
Yeah.
no sense.
But they never stopped the migration. Ta-dum! Never mind. Never mind. What do I know? What do I know? Okay. The other thing is the other one is Montana. Did you know about Montana?
What about Montana?
Number 4. In the
It's
big
number 4?
Yeah, Montana's the 4th biggest state, and then New Mexico.
Okay. Yeah,
So Poland
that's
would.
not
The whole point is Poland would be the 5th biggest
state.
state if it were in the United States, which is not bad.
No?
New Mexico.
People don't understand how big Poland is.
It's pretty big. I can tell you,
Yeah.
doing the travel stuff. You know,
Yep.
if you were to drive from
Yeah,
Świnoujście to
no.
Bieszczady in the southeast, it's a long drive.
11 and a half hours to 12 hours, depending on how fast you go.
Correct. Correct.
That's a drive, man.
Yeah, it's a long
big
drive.
country.
It's a long way. And vice versa, if you were to drive from, the northeast corner to the southwest extreme by Germany, Czech Republic,
Yep.
and in Silesia, Lower Silesia, that's a long drive. So, or just get down to Zakopane, for example. It's a big country. How far? Białystok 2.5. It's a straight east. It's 2.5 hours on the fast road.
Yeah.
Right, on the motorway.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine driving those roads before these autostradas? Yikes!
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, you did actually.
I did that. I did that. I thought the roads were bad in England.
No, God, no.
They're great in England.
Yep, compared to the ones in the village roads. Yep.
And now, here's a point for you. The roads in Poland are now better than the roads in the United States. The autostradas, or the motorways, or the interstates, whatever you want to call them. Yeah.
And that's fact, because the roads in the United States don't have barriers to protect them from wildlife, and they don't have bridges, and they're actually introducing them. Such a great idea that they've had here for the past 15, 20 years, and now they're implementing it in the United States. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Okay, here's another one for you. Largest castle in Poland is where?
Malberg.
Yeah. Largest fortress castle in the world.
Yes, and it's the largest brick castle in the world.
That's right. Right, you are.
Yeah.
Gothic brick castle, and
Con-
it is fantastic to
oh,
visit.
it's stunning. 25 hectares of absolute
Yeah,
beautiful landscape,
yeah.
controlled by the Knights Templars retirement home, and well, retirement home for the Templars that were injured or retired that didn't have a home. It's really nice, located right on the Vistula. One of the yeah, it's actually very strategic too. It was one of the best controlling points for them until Teutonic Knights, not Templars, Teutonic Knights. And yeah, until they got
There's a
the
Templar castle I was just there, and you can stay in it in Wagów, west of
oh
Poznan. It's beautiful there, really.
oh I have to do
I
that.
know it's a secret place. You tell me. I'll tell you where it is after. I'll send you a note if you remind me. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
You must visit, and you can stay in the castle. It's about $100 a night.
Oh, worth it. That's worth it.
It's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What does the name Poland mean?
People of the plains.
That's right. You got it. They're like Indians, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Of course, the Indians
but
got
it's
moved to
funny.
the plains. They got chased over there by. It wasn't their first choice, and they learned how to do it
No, it was
with
true.
horses.
But the thing is the people don't know. I still believe that the people of the plains, the Slavic language, was derived from the people of the plains, which is here in Poland. But a lot of people say it's not. I believe otherwise. I believe the history says that the Slavic languages were derived here in Poland, in the plains of Poland, in Warszawa regions.
Well,
Or the
that
Missouri
wouldn't
region.
surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me. Now, here's a fun fact. You've just led to another fun fact. When you talk about Warsaw, there's the first settlement of Warsaw is located, relatively. That wasn't just a, sort of Stone Age or not Stone Age, Iron Age or Bronze Age encampment. Is in Brudno. That's the oldest part of the founding of the city. Brudno, which is on the east and the north of the city, on the other side of the river, north of the Praga section, just north of it. That's the oldest place, settled by Vikings.
Actually, that does make sense.
Vikings were here, just like in Kiev. Now,
No,
our friend Olgierd Uziembo was telling me that.
no way.
Who appears on the show.
We need to have some beers on.
Yeah, Professor
Tea.
Uziembo was telling me. And he said, you got to go over there and see it. So I'm going to go over there with the camera and do a report from there for my travel show eventually. Maybe sooner rather than later. Because I'm going...
Yeah, before the weather sets in.
Well, I'm going to be doing some filming for the travel show. The weather's good, so I'm going to go this weekend. We're going to go and do some filming. Either to Sopot or Białowieża. But we may stop off and do this piece on Brudno.
Cool.
The other thing, the Polish Constitution, it was in existence from 1791. I've got written here, 1791. Makes sense. The second oldest constitution.
Yep, second only to the French.
Yeah, which makes it ironic. I love this. How modern the modern left is, history doesn't matter. Let's invent everything yesterday for tomorrow. We're so important. 1791, and now, which was against all odds, and right at the time of the partitions, when it would have been to the advantage for Poland to have an authoritarian government. They didn't want that, because Kosciuszko, the leader of the rebellion against the Russians, particularly at that time, had been participating in the American Revolution. He carried that idealism and that he wanted to establish that in Europe, not like Napoleon by conquering, but by freeing people to think for themselves.
Free thinkers. Yeah, it was a free thinker movement.
He is Kosciuszko, and the Constitution of 1791 is one of the great, as a person and as an idea, two of the great things of the 18th century.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of people in the United States think that the Constitution of the United States was written in 1776. No, 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 no. Let's just get that straight. That's when the United States was freed by itself for fighting against the British for taxes, nonetheless.
Well, that was the Declaration of Independence, right? That's 1776,
exactly.
but as you're right, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Not the Constitution. Yeah.
No, yeah, the Constitution was later on. I think it was either 1775, 1795 or 1796.
Yeah, it was after, because first we had the Articles of Confederation, which was this loose confederation. Interesting, that word being used that early on, because the country was a confederacy.
Yes,
before there was a constitution.
Yes, and the funny thing is that the Confederate flag is not, it's the Scottish flag. It's based off the Scottish flag. And the 13 stars on there were for the 13 original colonies.
Yeah. Well, people don't realize the Scots and Scottish philosophy had a lot to do with the founding. I'm not talking about the Scots-Irish so much, but the actual Scotland and the ideas of the Scottish Church as well, Presbyterians, very important at that time. That was also the heyday of Scotland in the world, actually. That was the awakening with Adam Smith and David Hume, the two philosophers, two of the great thinkers of the time. All right, so that, give Poland its due, which makes it so ironic now that you have the Germans always attacking Poland. These guys are illiberal. Poland invented liberality.
That's oxymoronic.
These political fights. No, it's just political expediency and power. The Germans want to run everything. And the last time I checked, they started 2 wars, as Norm Macdonald says. And who did they fight? The world, as he puts it. So these guys were pretty confident. Okay, and as Norm Macdonald tells us, it was close. Okay, rest
it
in
was very
peace.
Close, actually.
Yeah, rest in peace. Great man. Okay. Everybody knows that Warsaw was completely rebuilt after World War II. If you don't know that, the whole city was destroyed, particularly the old town and the center. Absolutely, hardly any frame standing. And totally rebuilt according to plans and paintings and photographs, and according to architectural plans, which were saved in case.
Smart.
Before the war, before the German invasion, as soon as they knew it was going to happen.
What were the cities that were totally leveled here in Poland? It was, of course, Warszawa, Gdansk, Poznan?
I mean, Wrocław.
Wrocław, tak, yeah. Wrocław, the industrial center. Yeah.
A lot of Szczecin.
Yeah, Szczecin.
And probably Lublin was fairly intact. The Austrian areas tended to be intact. Lvov stayed intact. Lublin stayed intact. Krakow stayed intact.
Yeah, they didn't get touched. That's the one big city that I thought didn't get touched. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, it was supposed to be. Hitler wanted them to destroy it, but his people there refused, or the guy in charge refused, because he'd fallen in love with the culture.
Ironically, I wonder why the culture is such a beautiful thing to fall in love with.
Well, why do we like it here? Yeah, exactly. Okay. Marie Curie, French or Polish?
Polish.
Yeah, Skłodowska is her name. Yeah, I think Skłodowska, right?
Skłodowska.
Yeah, and Skłodowska, yeah. And I just tried my pronunciation. Skłodowska. I got it written here. She was actually, and she married a Frenchman, and lived in France, where she did her radium experiments, and she actually died from radium poisoning. Talk about giving it all for science. Great lady.
Okay.
Nobel Prize winner. No, I don't need to tell you she was great. The Nobel Committee agreed. Uh, Joseph Conrad, Polish or British?
Of course. Konrad is Polish.
Yeah, he changed his name because he was Korzeniowski. Korzeniowski. Yeah. How about that?
No.
One of the great writers in English. It's like, now I write a few things, I scribble a bit, and I wonder what it would be like to be able to write fluently in Polish. I mean, I don't see how I could do it. I mean, except very painstakingly, and which would remove the spontaneity in the writing, which was what gives me the pleasure, the inspiration you get when writing. Wouldn't be able to do that in Polish. There's no way. And he did it going from Polish to English and created those beautiful books himself in English. Incredible.
It's just incredible. Yeah. Because
absolute
a Slavic
genius.
Language to Arabic-based language is unreal. It's just unreal.
Yeah, it was incredible. What is the heaviest animal in Europe?
Oh.
And where does it live?
The Jud. Poland.
Yeah, that's right.
In
The bison.
Yep. The Jud.
The zubra.
I pronounce.
Zubra.
Jubra. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was pronouncing
Yeah,
it
which
wrong.
is also a beer from Białystok.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. And, Białowież is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still roam wildly over there, but they're so reclusive.
They do.
They're very hard to see. Yeah.
You can see them. I saw them both in captivity and in the wild. You have to go to, there's a couple of specific spots. You can see them in some rather large meadows in the forest, on the edge of the forest, in the park there.
But
you can see them.
Yeah,
it's true.
But the thing is that the heavy concentration of the bison are not even in Poland. They're growing now, but the heavy concentration was in Belarus.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. Because I think I would be correct in saying the majority of the forest, of this primeval forest, is in Belarus. I mean, like 3/4 of it, right? Isn't that right?
Yes, that is absolutely right.
Yeah.
Because we have
you heard it too.
Walking through that forest is unreal.
Poland has the tallest building in Europe, if you don't count, I said Moscow, which is the new tower they built. It's taller than the Needle in London or whatever it is. I can't remember right now the name.
Yeah, that.
It's the Needle, isn't it?
Yep.
Which was the tallest structure. So Warsaw has now the tallest building in Europe. It's that new tower next to the Palace of Culture, which is a pretty impressive building, but a lot of it is the, antenna on the top, isn't it?
Yep.
So it's a bit cheating, isn't it? Yeah, it's a bit cheating.
I mean, most it's sort of the Hal Khalifa, and they cheated.
Yeah.
That's how they got their world's tallest building.
Okay, what do I do sometimes on this show that would be considered very rude if I was indoors at a restaurant or someone's house? From tradition.
Oh, yeah, you keep a hat.
I wear a hat, yeah. That's considered very rude in Poland. To wear a hat
trust
indoors.
me, I got yelled at by my father-in-law on that one a couple times.
No, people have said something to me before, but they used to more. They don't so much now because they realize that this is rather common in the United States, and a lot of Polish people do it too now. But you really shouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's a sign of respect. It's a sign that you're welcome and it's warming and you're here to stay. You're not here in a hurry, and you actually genuinely care. It's very old tradition.
But that's usually like if you were wearing like a fur hat inside or something like that. That wouldn't make sense. But a ball cap is kind of different. But still, it's that hat thing. And also, you can't wear a hat in church. This is confusing. Women wear hats in church. Men don't wear hats in church. But Jewish people do wear hats in church.
I'm confused.
Yeah. We have to study. We'll make a chart for the next show. Yeah. And Poles have 2 birthdays.
Yes, the name day and their origin day.
Yeah, they get 2 days, which I used to find confusing, but now I think it's nice. Because as you get a bit older and you have a little more, become a little more wizened from your travels around this this what I call the globe. Traveling around the old globe.
Once or twice.
You just want to see people happy, you know. If a couple of days makes people happy, they get a little present, that's nice. You know, people need to be happy on as many days and have a reason to celebrate as much as possible, I think. And I like it actually as an idea for that reason. And but it's considered very important. Also, what is the most popular woman's name in Poland?
I've wondered that myself. I don't know. I'm going to take a wild stab at this. Agnieszka?
Close. Top 5. Yeah, that's top 5.
Magdalena?
No. Kasia. Katarzyna.
Kasia.
Yeah.
Katarzyna.
So
You're
how many
kidding.
Katarzynas do you know?
Okay, that's a good point, actually.
They're everywhere. If you just call
them.
somebody Kasia by mistake, they're, oh, that's my middle name. You know.
Yeah. No,
it's like our producer right here, Anna Maria Katarzyna. Her middle name is. It's not. I'm just saying that to see if she's listening in my ear. Because she's telling me we've got to finish. We got to finish.
The what? Oh.
It went that fast.
No, we cannot finish.
You believe that?
That's weird.
When we don't talk about the war, it goes faster because we don't get a headache thinking about it.
Yes, I know.
So I wanted to take we'll come back and do more of these fun facts to know and tell about Poland on the next show. And I want to thank you, Anthony McFarland Gonzalez, for being with us. I hope that you enjoyed the show. If you're Polish, you'll know a lot of these things. If you're not Polish, some of it may be pretty surprising, as some of it was to us. Some of it we knew because we live here. But at any rate, thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. Have a fantastic week. And we'll see you next